Hello and welcome to ChapterSkip. I'm Sean.
And I'm Mark, and we're bringing you movie reviews with a twist.
And today we're taking a look at the movie Open Grave.
Open Grave is a 2013 mystery movie that blends elements of the thriller and horror genre too. This 102-minute flick stars the awesome Sharto Copely, who was of course the lead actor in District 9 and the breakout star in Elysium.
Although in this film he's trying something a little different. His distinct South African accent has been replaced by a somewhat convincing American accent. I say somewhat because at points his native tongue does slip through occasionally, but it's nothing to worry about.
He's backed up by the originals and the Vampire Diaries star Joseph Morgan, who plays Nathan.
But names aren't really too important at this time in the movie, but you'll find out why later on.
Thomas Kretschmann also stars in the flick alongside Erin Richards, Max Wrottesley and the hidden gem in the film, Josie, who doesn't speak throughout the entire movie and still manages to be a really interesting character. There's also a massive pit full of dead people who either had the easiest acting gig or the hardest.
Yeah, because for the majority of the film they just had to lay there pretending to be dead. However, at some points it did look like they got trampled on, crawled over and generally made to be uncomfortable.
Now, I thought that I struggled to get up in the morning, but I've got nothing on Sharto Copely's character, who wakes up in a pit full of corpses with no memory of how he got there or even who he is.
Fortunately though, help is at hand from a mysterious benefactor who quite literally throws Sharto a lifeline, thereby allowing him to escape from the pit of dead bodies.
Although his newfound freedom isn't exactly all sunshine and rainbows, as he soon finds himself part of a group that have also lost their memories and who aren't exactly the trusting sort either, although their lack of trust probably stemmed from the fact that Sharto walked in and was waving a gun around in everyone's faces.
The crew's amnesia seems to be fairly temporary, as one by one each person starts to remember little details about the ordeal that happened and who they really are. Bit by bit and piece by piece you find out little details along with the group as the movie goes along, which I thought was a great way to unravel the details of the flick. And along with the pacing of the film, you feel captivated and want to know more. But cleverly, you don't really find any concrete evidence until very late on in the movie, which I really liked, because it gripped me and kept me guessing, only to find my theories throughout the flick were dashed as new shreds of evidence came back to each player in this mental game of chess.
With none of this grouping of apparent strangers knowing what happened, where they are, and what they need to do, they decide to go on a search around the area in the hopes of finding clues as to this predicament that they found themselves in, when they run into a crazy woman who's tied up in a shed and she doesn't even have a pot to piss in. She does have a bucket to poop in though, so I guess that's something. And the crazy shed woman isn't the only person out in the woods either, as there's also a giggling lunatic who's wrapped up in barbed wire, a kid with an angry dog, and what's probably the world's worst tree decorations.
It's a shame Joe had to explode. And this close to Christmas.
I know, but we did tell him he should have used protection.
At least it'll be part of our Christmas celebration.
Yeah, these intestines are going to look great on the tree.
What shall I do with these?
On top.
Alright.
That's looking nice and festive.
Should we celebrate Joe's memory by having a drink or something?
Cup of tea or something stronger?
Stick something stronger in my tea, as a fitting tribute to Joe.
Alright mate, back in a minute. Cup of tea?
Thank you. Nice and strong. Anyway, to Joe.
To Joe.
First of all, this felt like a fresh and unique idea, and off the top of my head I can't really think of a movie like it. The acting was also pretty damn great too, each character was written well and acted even better. The standouts for me were Nathan, who was played by the aforementioned Joseph Morgan, as well as Josie Ho, whose acting came from simply the look on her face. And have she spoken, I think it may have spoiled what her character had going on.
However, the whole thing really does feel like an ensemble piece, which I think is helped by the fact that all the characters are in the same situation. This means that the characters are blank slates with no clearly defined role. So, other than how they are reacting to the situation they have found themselves in, you're left to try and figure out what you can about them just from their performances, and it made a nice change. Especially when I found my opinion of who could be trusted flip-flopping throughout the course of the movie. Although I did learn a few things from watching this film though, such as how the best way to locate a missing object when you're in the woods is to randomly throw rocks into bushes. Do you remember anything at all? Even your name?
No, I literally woke up and everything's blank.
Do you have anything on you that will give us a clue who we are?
Keys, but these can't help us figure out this mess. What about you?
Nothing.
Well, I guess if these don't give any clues to who we are or what we do, they're useless.
Do you hear that? Hey, look at this. Here, you keep the keys. The film is nicely shot with a good use of sound, and the cast will do a great job too.
Another plus point for the movie had to be the dreadful score. I mean that in the way that it was full of dread rather than awful. It was one of those things that you don't really notice as it blends in so well, but really helps proceedings along, be it building tension or giving off that subtle hint of, I have no bloody idea what's going on, but I have the sense that something dreadful is going to happen type vibe, which I dug immensely. Although a small letdown for me would have to be Sharto Copely, but I think it was because he was coming into this movie having been fantastic in both District 9 and Elysium, and also the decision for him to drop his unique, although sometimes hard to understand, South African accent made him blend into the crowd a little bit too much, but other than that, it was a solid performance all round.
Although, I would like to say that Sharto needs to keep better track of his car keys. I mean, I know that I've lost mine on occasion, but I'd be hard pressed to think of anything worse than having to retrieve them from a crazy person's stomach.
Looking pretty good, isn't it?
Yay! Woo! Christmas!
Fast forward a bit.
Stop! Zoom! Come on then.
So that's why we can't remember anything. No. Go a bit further forward.
Ah, he found a shitting dog.
What, me? Forward. Stop!
Christmas! Monty!
Hell yeah!
Yeah!
Dude, give me back my keys. The tape clearly shows they're mine.
How do you know? You might have stolen them off me!
Yeah, but they were clearly in my pocket and, you know, I'm pretty sure this is my house. Give them back.
No way! You could have set this whole thing up!
Look, just give me the keys.
No! I'm out of here! Oh, that's disgusting. Oh.
Now what?
I figured out these aren't my keys, Mark, so I've come to return them.
Alright, cheers mate.
Catch. Right, I'm just gonna go for a walk, see if anything jogs my memory, alright?
Alright mate. Bye. Yeah. Overall, I found this to be a pretty good film that kept me guessing throughout. The pace did falter a little bit through the middle, and I felt that the whole thing could have been tighter in places, especially when we do get to see Sharto's character go through exactly the same thing 3 times in the movie. It was these moments in the pacing and the odd plot coincidence that, for me, kept this from becoming something I can wholeheartedly recommend. So if you are thinking of watching it, then I'd say to go for a matinee viewing or wait until it's on Netflix or something like that, as it's not one for a full price viewing, in my opinion.
Open Grave was a refreshingly cool movie that played to its strengths well, and those were solid acting, a great plot and story, good writing and a fantastic pacing to the film. Now last week we reviewed Contracted, where I stated that the pacing was a little off, whereas here I thought they got it spot on. The visuals were also striking and the sense of mystery was compelling. So if you're a fan of suspense-filled mystery thrillers, then this flick will definitely satisfy you. It's head and shoulders above any horror flick that I can think that's doing rounds at the moment. I definitely recommend it.
Thanks for watching this Open Grave movie review. Unfortunately, this will be our last movie review of the year. But don't worry, ChapterSkip will return in 2014 to bring you more movie reviews, with a twist. If you have any thoughts on Open Grave, then we'd love to hear it. Post them in the comments section, on Facebook or on Twitter. All the links are in the description. And finally, before you go, make sure you subscribe to this channel and like this video too. Thanks.
He's backed up by the originals and the vampires.
Vampires. But names aren't really too important in this movie. But
They are, if you can say them.
you'll find out why later on. Which I thought was a really great way to unravel the details of the flick. Great Ray.
Great Ray.
Great Ray.
Oh, you're great, Ray.
Ray, you were great.
Although I did learn a few things from watching this film. Thrings. Thrings. I've learnt thrings.
Is that 3 things?
I was like, can I get away with it now? I clearly said thrings. Alright, mate. Bye-bye.